right, team. Welcome to the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I'm Josh, and I'm hanging out with Sarah Hayes today. Sarah, thank you so much for making time to connect today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Sarah, I got to give you the quick intro and thank you in advance for sharing so much good stuff because this is going to be a great conversation. We've got a lot of cool things to get into. So, Sarah, you're 51 years old. Are you own an empire of gyms. You're a gym owner. I think there's 7 in total that I counted. I'm going to give them a quick shout out. Empire Fitness, CrossFit Madison, CrossFit Empire South, CrossFit Athens, CrossFit Hazel Green, CrossFit Shades, Rocket City CrossFit. Dang, let's get into all that. You have your master's degree in exercise science. I have my bachelor's degree in exercise science as well. You live a quiet but simple life in Madison, Alabama with your husband and 13 dogs. You've been doing CrossFit for 14 years. You're a 2-year Boulder athlete, which we're going to get into. And you've competed at the CrossFit Games. You've
Yes.
competed at the Legends Championship. You recently competed at the Magic City Games. You're a
Yes.
certified badass. I think we have proven that with all of those details. And man alive, we got a lot of stuff to get into. So, Sarah, thanks a ton for making time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Right on. Well, I'm also very excited to have you. So, by the way, Aaron Bewley, who he's
Yes.
oh Josh, Sarah's awesome. You got to talk to Sarah. And so I've been hearing all about you. I'm like, well, let's make some time to do this. So here we are. So, Sarah, I have teased a whole bunch of stuff. I want to pass the mic to you because I just want to hear more about your story and your background. And naturally, we'll get into your level of competition and fitness and gym ownership and all the amazing things that come along with all of that. So we want to get there, but let's circle the wagons way back and just talk about your upbringing, your background, kind of take me wherever you want to take me.
Yes. So it's a very actually cool story looking back now and kind of seeing the way that things have evolved over the years. But I grew up, I have two sisters, mom and dad. We had a very close family, athletic family. We were very involved in sports. When I went to college, I thought I wanted to be a school teacher. And so I was going to study, I did my undergraduate was physical education. So I thought that was kind of my goal and passion. Well, I started working for a national fitness gym chain and as a group fitness instructor, and then became a group fitness manager and did that all through college. And right after college, started teaching at a local junior college there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I loved it and continued to teach group fitness. Well, one summer, the manager of the gym, he was like, we really need to get you into membership sales. Like, I really think that you need to get it up into management. I was like, no, no, no. I'm a school teacher and this is what I want to do. And I could never sell anything. And he was like, Sarah, I watch you every day. Like you're selling your people in classes and but I was like, that's just because I love it. I love everything fitness. I love teaching group fitness. So that summer I came on the sales team and of course, like excelled really, really fast. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want to have a gym membership. So it was super easy for me
Yeah, very
to do
authentic.
that. So I progressed up with that gym chain. I worked for them for 15 years. I was their regional manager, taught their sales seminar to the nationwide teams, lived in North Carolina then, and then moved back to a gym in Auburn, Alabama. We had 3 locations there, and they brought me back as the regional person there. Well, in the time there, when life is going great and you've kind of made it in your career, you're doing everything that you love. My mother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, and they gave her a 20% survival rate. And so I immediately went to the ownership group and I was like, I have to leave. I have to go, be with my mom. So I did. I moved to Huntsville and it was really hard. Like it was like so like I didn't sell my house there. I had no preparation. So I get to Huntsville and I'm thinking, well gosh, for one, I need a job. I'm gonna have to work. And two, I was grateful that I could be here with mom. She actually survived for about 8 years after me living here.
Mm.
So I got to see all that and take her to treatment. So it was all a blessing in disguise. Anyway, that was the birth of Empire Fitness because I knew that's what I did well. I knew that's what I knew. And so I opened the gym and we started out at 9,000 square feet, just a Globo gym, your basic gym, teaching Les Mills classes like body pump, step aerobics, all that kind of stuff, spin classes, yoga. Well, in 2011, one of my members came to me and she took all my classes. She said, "You need to try CrossFit." And she's like, "You would love it. I think you would be so good at it." And I was, of course, I was like, "No, no, no. This is what I do. Don't want to do it." Well, I went to a local CrossFit gym that I'm still great friends with the owner here. And I did it, and I did. I fell in love with it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm back in athletics."
Mhm.
So 2 years later, I went to them and I let them know, "Hey, I want to open up a CrossFit affiliate." And so we were actually talking about a partnership at first, and then they weren't really into like the Globo side. And I wanted both. Like I have here at CrossFit Madison and Empire Fitness, like Empire is in the front, it's 25,000 square feet. And then the back building on the property is CrossFit Madison and it's 10,000 square feet. So my vision was I wanted both and I wanted an empire of fitness, meaning at the time, like I want a medical doctor, a physical therapist, a chiropractor, massage therapy, all under one roof. And that's what we have here now. And so we started out in the small location. 5 years later, we bought property, built the building, and now have the property and the building. But all that came simply but because, sometimes we would think a disastrous thing with my mother, her life on the line, cancer, everything. And at the time, it was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? However, looking back, like none of this would have ever happened had that not
Yeah,
happened.
you'd be a teacher.
Yeah, so I'm super grateful, and that, we turned one CrossFit gym into another one and then another one, and CrossFit and group fitness is really my passion. It's really what I love and it's what I do, and I don't feel like I ever really go to work. It's like I can't wait to get to work every day to teach classes and coach people. So,
That
yeah.
that's a really cool story. I mean, we that's just at the surface too. There's 1,000 things that are happening behind the scenes to become a business owner of multiple gyms. I kind of want to, so I can relate to this because I used to teach. I was a personal trainer. I used to teach group fitness. I led two different facilities, managed a large team. I didn't own either one of them. I wasn't the one paying for or on the hook. They were being subsidized by a company that I worked for, but I ran them. And man, to think about owning them and having my, pocketbook on the line for each of these, that's a scary proposition. So talk me through like when you opened your first gym, the process of doing so, the hopes and dreams and fears and challenges, and then ultimately getting to a point where you're like, we've got this so dialed, we're going to replicate this now multiple times over. Like, what's that journey look like?
So it all goes back to my beginning. So I worked for Gold's Gym, and
Okay.
working for Gold's, I did some pre-sales for them. So we opened gyms before the gym was even built. So I was out selling memberships and fitness, when there wasn't even a building, and talking people into it. And that was before we had social media, right? So
Yeah.
you actually had to go and talk to people and write things down and things like that. So I'm so appreciative of that. That experience is really what led me to like Empire Fitness, all the different, involvements with a big gym like group fitness, childcare, personal trainers. You've got all
Yeah.
this. When I looked at the model of like a CrossFit affiliate, it's so simple because it really is a small part of this huge operation that I'd already been doing for 15 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is a no brainer, And so now looking at it, it's interesting though, because like at the affiliate gathering that we had recently at the CrossFit Games, at the Magic City Games, which I love the affiliate gatherings that
Mm.
CrossFit does. You get to meet all the owners and talk to the managers and stuff. So as I'm talking to people, and it's a challenge for them because they don't really understand that it really is simple. It's not complicated. However, I think that because I came from such of a bigger picture of
Where it was
multi
more
things,
complex.
right? Right. And so, again, I'm grateful for that opportunity, and it's helped me duplicate. And also, it comes back to good people. Like all of our leaders are, I mean, I would put them up against anybody. They're just good character, hardworking people, and that makes my job so much easier. We've had a couple of bad apples. Not gonna,
Yeah.
not gonna sugarcoat
Fair
it
enough.
all. We've had a few that we've had to like exit out. However, the majority of them are good people.
Yeah, and throughout all of this, you're still teaching. I mean, look, there's a lot of overhead. There's a lot of things to navigate and much to manage there. But through the midst of all of that, you're still sticking to your roots, which is group fitness and getting in front of a class and helping people achieve their fitness goals. And I mean, I know why, but talk to me about like, why are you still teaching classes?
I love it. I do. I love it. It is truly my joy when I'll go back to my early days with Gold's Gym, and that was one of the things when they promoted me to manager, they said, "You can't teach your classes anymore because we need you to work these hours." And my response immediately was, and this has been a long time ago, "Well, then I can't be your manager." I want to teach my classes. I feel like it's really my strength. It's what I'm good at, and I do have big followings in my classes. And so, you know, ask me that 20 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh," but now you see it over time and as we get older, we can humbly admit really what we're good at. And so it's something that it brings me joy. I love to see when people reach goals or achievements that they never thought they could do.
Mhm.
And just speaking life into people in those words, like it's more about that motivation that I love so much.
Yeah, I've talked about this with some other folks on the podcast, but in your line of work, it's not uncommon for someone to come up to you each day and let you know how much of an impact you've had on their lives.
Yes,
And
yes.
man, you encounter so many incredible stories of transformation and resilience and courage, and because people just like they just come up and share it, and they just want
Yeah.
you to know the role that you have played. And my goodness, that's just so powerful to think that you've had a role of any kind in that person's journey, and they placed you in that role in such a way. And man, going to rest your head on the pillow at night knowing that that's the kind of impact you're having on the world is really cool. So yeah, it's a unique line of work. It is, I mean, you can tell us about just how exhausting it is. I know, you essentially work from the crack of dawn till late at night because that's when folks are exercising. Most people
Yes.
don't do their fitness in the middle of the day. They do it before work starts and, after work ends. And so naturally, you've got to operate around those schedules, and that can make for some really long days. And when you're bringing the juice in the morning and then you got to bring the juice at night,
Yes,
that,
yes.
that's exhausting.
Yes, and refueling yourself, finding your ways that you can refuel yourself and give yourself back that life too, because we give, 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 give so much. It's like, okay, I've got to, and that's where my training comes in. When I get to do my training, that's my time that it really refuels me and recharges me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I can't imagine not having a real passion. Well, I don't even know if I'd say it that way. Not having this outlet of your own fitness to truly like just keep you energized enough to go bring the kind of energy that you need to bring to do all this well in a way that's like really genuine energy and genuine enthusiasm. Yeah, you can fake it, and there's plenty of instructors who do that and just kind of drag themselves through the classes, but everybody sees it.
Yes,
To bring it
yes,
authentically, it's a different deal.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And it becomes a habit, it becomes that consistency and that habit. And I do, especially during competition season, I'll notice that I teach my classes before I do my training because I want to have that high level
yeah,
energy, that fresh stuff first thing. And then, if I have to pull back on my training a little bit or if my intensity is not as high that day, at least I did my job and
mhm.
delivered to the paying members. So, yes.
Yeah, I would imagine you train midday some point.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
kind of the lull of the day. Typically, from what I recall, it was like 5 AM to about 11 AM is kind of when that mid-morning class group ends, and then
Right.
there's that lull from, like, 11 to for us, it was like 5:30 was when the PM classes started to really pick up. So it was like 5:30,
Okay.
6:30, 7:30 were kind of the hot ones, and so that was primo training time, in between and
Right.
managing the business.
Yes. Yes. That's midday training and office hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, tell me then how you do this across 7 different gyms. Are they all within a similar proximity?
The furthest away is about an hour and a half. And so all of our other locations are about 30 minutes from each other. So all the managers come here to Madison once a week on Wednesdays. And we have our team meetings where we talk about maybe, events and things that we're putting on. We talk a lot about membership numbers, retention rates, all the fun business stuff. And then they do weekly, 2 days a week sales calls via Zoom where everybody zooms in and then we talk pretty much every day, but once again, they are all, like, high level operators. I mean, I couldn't It's just been a big blessing, you know.
No doubt about it. Like, the people are critical. That's a huge understatement. What I would really love to get your perspective on is I'm sure that they're good people, but it takes good people to lead good people.
Yes.
You know, good people will quickly identify bad people, for lack of a better term, if we're just keeping it really simple here. And so those that have really high integrity identify where integrity is absent very quickly because you
Yes.
work really hard to hold your integrity at a high level. And that is it's an everyday practice. And so, yeah, you bump into people and you're like, "Oh yeah, okay. I got a read on you. Yep. I know where I kind of got a sense of where your integrity is or isn't." That's not hard to get a quick read. So the read that people must have on you has got to be very high. And so how do you set the bar? How do you set the culture? What are some of the things you do to build not only a culture of one gym, you're building a culture across an empire of gyms. What's your approach to that?
Yes, I think in the early days I was and I've worked a lot of this on this over the years. I didn't have a great discernment about people. Like I saw people for their potential, not really where they were. So as I would hire new managers or trainers or whatever that be, I would, oh, this person could be so good, they've got and so it really was something that I had to work on and learn like know what is really happening and what is really going on, not what you want them to be. And I've really kind of turned this way to my clients too, because I feel like I'm overly optimistic about things sometimes. Like, you can do this. I can show you everything that you need to do to reach these goals, whether it be your business goals or your training goals. But if we want it more than they want it,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work out. And typically, as you know from your experience, that's usually the way it is. So I've had to learn to kind of dial that back a little bit and let really people see. I like to watch actions instead of listening to words, especially in the early days in the business. You dealt with a lot of salespeople that they told you what you wanted to hear. And that's just not, I don't want someone to talk to me and tell me what they think I want to hear. I want you to tell me the truth. And I want it to be like, if you're going to say you're going to do something, let's do it. It's the way I was raised and it's my expectation. So I do think sometimes that I question, is my standard too high? Is the bar too high for people? And working, I have a business coach that he does more of like mental performance coaching. And he actually comes in and talks to our teams
Mm.
too. And he'll always tell me, like, never lower your standard. No, your standard is not too high. Just because this person can't meet it, don't lower that
Yeah.
standard. So that is something that I was raised to be the hardest worker in the room. They're going to be people that are more talented than you, more athletic than you, but you outwork them. And so it's just kind of a I call it like a mental illness, if you will, because it's what we have, it's what we do.
Yeah.
There's never that satisfaction when it comes to not only my performance, but the bar of our locations. Like my main manager will oftentimes ask me, "Are we in a crisis? Like, is everything okay?" I'm like, "Yes, but we can do better. We are not meeting our potential." So it's things like that that I think is just kind of, I don't know that you can learn that. I think it's just ingrained in us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, I mean, it's really something that you condition over a period of time. So I'm making inferences and assumptions here in this next bit. So forgive me if I go off the rails. You can reel me back in. But like my assumption is you are that way because you have proven it to be successful over a period of time. You've been
Right.
optimistic in your outlook. You've worked your ass off, reaped the rewards from both your optimism and your willingness to put the work behind the optimism. And there's
Yes.
success that lies usually on the other side of that. Maybe it looks different than you anticipated. Maybe it looks different than you initially defined, but it was success nonetheless. And your optimism allows you to find the success in whatever the circumstance. And so
Right.
when you package all of that up, it's like, I'm just going to replicate that system. I'm going to continue to
Right.
be optimistic. I'm going to continue to work my tail off. And I now have built up enough proof points to say that it works more times than it doesn't. This is the recipe. And now you're trying to rub that recipe off on everybody around you, you know? I
I do, and I want them to experience, I remember back in the earlier days, starting out the businesses and thinking, waking up in the middle of the night thinking, how am I going to pay all these people and how am I going to pay rent? And is this going to work out? And so I kept having to go back to trusting, like, you've done this and you've been very successful for this huge corporation for all these years. So why not? I mean, there's nothing new here that you have to do. So, but I do remember that time and those days to where, it's like I don't. This is hard. Working from sun up to sundown, and then you know everything else that living your life. It's really challenging and hard. And I want my young managers, like that's something that I really mentor and teach them. Some of them have ownership in the facilities. And so we just built a brand new building in Hazel Green at our CrossFit there. And it's been fun to watch our operator there like navigate through like the expenses are so much more now in this. And so I really enjoy mentoring that and letting her know, like, yes, it's part of growth. You're going to have these pain points, and part of this growth is it's going to be okay. I've been there, done that. So that's exciting to me to watch that. And really, I feel like that we all need to go through those hard times, if you want to call them that, or those pain points,
Mm.
because it only makes us better and stronger. Imagine if everything was always great. Same thing with training, right? If
Yeah.
we're super good at everything, are we ever going to get better? No, but we always want to get better at something. So I love those challenges, I guess, if you will,
Yeah.
for them to learn.
100%. I mean, growth is on the other side of discomfort.
Yes.
You can't achieve the growth without going right through the discomfort. And then you just name the context that pretty much holds true everywhere. Business, life, marriage, you name it, fitness, like all the places. If you really want to drive meaningful growth, yeah, it's on the other side of some discomfort. And you got to be willing to approach that friction head on and just navigate your way through that. And I mean, that's not a groundbreaking statement, but it's a perspective that not everybody has, unfortunately. And it's just a truth.
Yes. Yes. Well, and every coach needs a coach. That was one of the things when we do Matt Miller coaching, which he's a continuing education provider for CrossFit as well. And he's here local in Huntsville, and he comes in and talks to our teams, but he also does mental performance training with me too, working through these growth things or maybe looking at things from more of a rational perspective instead of like an irrational point of view. So all those things, I think that seeking those people that will continue to grow us as leaders, as people. I think that's so important. And like you said, people, they're not open to that, or maybe they're just not aware that we need that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I'm imagining myself being around your leadership, I can only imagine you're helping set a high bar and, all of the traits that we just discussed are rubbing off in a positive way and creating some healthy friction that helps people grow. And, that's a concept too that is an interesting discussion is like not all the friction and not all the challenges are negative. You can infuse tension into the system in a very intentional way, in a very healthy way, and then nurture people through that to get them to the others to ensure that they get to the other side. And I think it was Joey Hushman. He's a business owner as well and owns multiple furniture shops. Great athlete, friend, super good dude. But he and I talked about this very concept as like the intentional infusion of friction for the sake of driving the kind of growth that you want to create. And I have no doubt that you're doing that in a very strategic way as well.
Yes, it is challenging though, because you want to. I would prefer for if something's going to happen negatively to someone, I'd prefer for it to happen to me because I feel like I could handle it as opposed to like one of my staff members. However, I do agree with that they need that pressure. They need that, push, if you will. It's only going to make them better.
Yeah, man, how many times I have fallen into the comfort trap, for lack of a better term. We're kind of like everything's going pretty good. Like things are on the rails. I've got no real sense of urgency in the way that I'm operating in any area of my life. Like I'm kind of comfortable with all the things. Then you insert a deadline. Then you insert a goal that's been placed on you. Then you insert something, and all of a sudden, now things are urgent. Now I need to get creative in how I problem solve. And then you realize, like, gosh, that really leveled me up in some ways. I didn't think I would have accomplish that, and I did. And you realize quickly, like, it was the thing, it was the friction, it was the forcing function that pushed you to achieve the thing or pushed you to think outside the box or whatever that is. And in the moment, those are difficult to appreciate because you're like, "Oh, crap." You know, I'd rather this wasn't pushing me, but it
Yes,
is.
yes,
And
yes.
then some people rise to the occasion or don't. But if you can find some perspective, then afterwards, you learn to appreciate the friction a little bit more. And then you get a little bit more conditioned to when the friction presents itself. And over a long career of doing this, which you have, there's probably not a whole lot of challenges you haven't seen a flavor of, like a net new thing where you're like, oh, I've never encountered this before. You've probably experienced some flavor of that. And at least that gives you a little bit of confidence on how you might attack the challenge.
Right, right. Yes. And I do rely on my faith a lot. I feel like
Mm.
that, especially like with my early situation with mom and just the detours that God has really taken me through, that at the time you could look at and be like, this isn't, but now looking back, I'm like, I'm so grateful that like God put that barrier there, that circumstance or that situation, because I am a pretty not I wouldn't say stubborn, but pretty much driven. Like, I'm very intentional about everything that I do, and so I would have intentionally not done those things had it not been, like, stopped right in my face. So,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that, and I do rely on my faith a lot on things like making business decisions or something. I have to take a little bit of time and, like, "God, is this from you?" Or, "Is this something that you're presenting to me?" Because I'm very grateful for everything that I have, and I know that it's, from just acts of service, and that's what I feel like, a servant to my people.
I love that. That's so great. And I mean, gosh, we could get into faith as a very discussion. I have faith as well, and as does my wife and our entire family, and we are grounded in that. And I can't imagine going through life without it. But that's our life, and I don't push that on other people. I've had it pushed on me and I rejected it big time,
Right,
long time.
right.
But now that I have found it, I can't imagine not having it. And so, yeah, I love hearing how people lean into their faith as well to just navigate life because it's certainly, I mean, to me, it's a requirement.
It is. We have a lady I lead a ladies Bible study here at the gym. It meets actually tomorrow, the 3rd Saturday of each month. And it really is just like you said, it's more about, the whole thing. And so many people had their faith pushed on them. And I've noticed in our Bible studies that we have in the gym, those are the people that are coming because, they've got the trust. They know that we're in the best interest for them, and that's leading them to Christ. So it's really cool the way it all just kind of comes full circle.
That's awesome. You're impacting people in multiple facets of their life, fitness being one.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome. Let's shift gears a little bit here, Sarah. I want to talk about how where I want to go is like, man, you competed at a very high level. You competed at the CrossFit Games as an individual. That is not something you accidentally just stumble into. That takes years and years of consistency and hard work. You had mentioned in some of the content that you had shared in advance, like consistency feels like one of your greatest superpowers. You've alluded to that here again moments ago when you said, you may not be like the most talented, but you will outwork everybody. And that outwork isn't a moment in time, it's over a long period of time.
Li
So I wanna get to that, but where was I gonna go with this? Boulder. Where did Boulder come into the equation for you? How did you learn about Boulder? And, like, what's your experience been like? And, what are you observing as part of your experience with Boulder? I would just love to get your honest take on that.
So I'll start with how I found out about Boulder. A member here in Madison, Chris Barnes is his name. He still competes, and not at a high level competition, but local things. One day in the gym, he said, "There's a guy named Jason Grubb that I think you need to meet. He lives in Colorado. He's going to be moving to Birmingham, Alabama, and he has started this thing called Boulder Athlete." And I was like, "Okay." And he said, "I just feel like with your training that you do that, you need to y'all remind me a lot of each other." And I was like, "Okay." So I checked out Boulder Athlete, and I've like followed it for a week, and I'm like, "Man, I love this." I felt like when I first started on it, I felt like, Man, he must have the same weaknesses as me because all the stuff that we're doing is stuff I need to be doing. And so I loved it so much. I actually got a couple of people involved on it too. But as we've gone over the 2 years now, what I love most about it is it's very intentional. And for me, that was something I've worked with different camps in the past. I've done Granite Games, I've done Wadapalooza, I've done all those, and I've worked with different programming coaches over
Yeah.
the years. And one of the things for me is because I teach so many physical classes myself, like I'm teaching a spin class, I'm doing a body pump class in a day, and those are classes I'm physically doing with the class.
Yeah.
I need my training to be intentional. I'm 51. I'm not 30 anymore. So I need everything that I do not to just be a cookie cutter type program and that's what I love about Boulder. It's not that, although it's designed, for all Boulder athletes, it's not one-on-one training. It's very intentional to what we do in the sport of CrossFit. And I love the details that are in it. I mean, it's so impressive the semifinals that we just had, Magic City, the booklet that Boulder put out for us as athletes. I'm like, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, that is so impressive, and even the behind the scenes on the programming, like the heart rate zone you should be in and the intensity, and I'm like, "I wish I had this 10 years ago,"
Right.
I'd be winning the CrossFit Games if I had this, but yeah, and so it's definitely something that, I love the high standard of everything. I feel like yourself, like Jason's wife, I mean, have you ever met anybody better than her? She is the
Oh my god.
sweetest, most awesome
I'm gonna have
person.
her on. She's gonna be on the podcast. We've already talked about it. I need to Gina is an incredible person, and I
She is. And so I just love everything and I loved how I've watched it over the last 2 years. I love the fact that it's scaling now into the affiliate side. Like, it hasn't stayed stagnant like some of the other programming that we see.
Mhm.
It's continuing to scale, and I admire that so much because I know what it takes, and I love every part of it. I think it's brilliant, and yeah.
Well, golly, I love hearing all that. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as I always say, I am very biased towards Boulder for obvious reasons, but I'm experiencing the same things, and having been part of multiple programs previously and it's like dating. You're like, hey, yeah, I dated this person, they were great. Enjoyed this about them. And oh, these were maybe some red flags. And then you date somebody else. You're like, wow, I love those qualities. Okay. And you're kind of creating the vision of the person you one day want to marry. And then now you're really informed about what that looks like. And so between myself and Aaron and Jason and Adam, we all have a really clear shared vision and we really want to be innovative. And we pride ourselves on I think Boulder can be the most innovative program, definitely intentional. It is a blueprint for success. Jason has proven that, 6 times
Yes.
over now. We
Yes.
tons of athletes competing at high level and building their longevity if they're even not competing, but they're just becoming fit and durable. And just love that. And man, we're working on some really incredible stuff that is like truly innovating in the space. And that's what makes this super exciting. And yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled to be part of this team. So to have, you know, a growing community of amazing people with awesome stories like yours and getting to hear how people are experiencing that it's the most meaningful thing. Like I just want to hear about all of it.
Yeah, well, I think that it brought life back to the master's program. I
Yeah.
feel like that and obviously being affiliate owners of multiple affiliates, I get the insides on what CrossFit is doing and I understand the CrossFit games. But I feel like if you look at the trajectory of this year of the games, like the majority of people are 35 and up and that have signed up, that younger group, which we hope to tap back into that as affiliate owners.
Mhm.
However, I mean, if you look at all of our local boxes, that is our majority
Right.
of groups. So I love that Boulder has kind of like, Jason's standing up for us to the CrossFit HQ and like, hey, where's all the master stuff?
Yeah.
So I love that also not only on the programming side, but also Boulder is that person behind all of us, like pushing it forward.
Yeah, and I give Jason just so much credit and he has a ton of respect from me and the community because of that. One, he's
Right.
proven it. Like, he's incredibly successful. He works his butt off, and he does boulder programming, by the way, if anybody wants to know the secret sauce, it's boulder.
I know.
Like, it's not a secret, but then he's a really respectful advocate for our masters community, and I get a lot of behind the scenes conversations with him on, the discussions that are taking place with him and some really influential people in the CrossFit HQ, and I know him well enough to know that he's doing it in a way that, upholds his integrity, represents Boulder in a way that everybody in the community would feel proud of, and by the way, it's actually helping move the needle in a positive way, and I mean, these are just the kind of people that you want in your corner, and so, yeah,
Yes.
Boulder is very fortunate to have Jason doing all that he's doing, and I feel super grateful to be, a partner on the
Yeah,
journey
well,
with
and Adam is great. I've met Adam
Yeah.
and Aaron. I mean, I feel like the whole gr you guys are all just you can tell my discernment now that I've learned over the years is you can just tell that, like, you're just good people, and I think that that's the foundation to everything is just having good character, hardworking people, those are the people that do rise to the top quicker. So, I'm excited. I love it.
Awesome. Well, I just love hearing you say that. So let's now shift a little bit back to your like aspirations and your competitive achievements. Like you've competed at the 2024 games. Tell me about that experience. You were at, you must have been at Legends in Arizona this past year because I saw a
I
photo
was
and you had the awesome Boulder shirt on that was custom made
Yes.
for that. And you got that shirt as well. And then Magic City. Yeah. Talk me through your experience in each of those.
Yeah, so my first year in CrossFit was 2012. And that year I made regionals. I started in July and I had no idea what that meant. And so the affiliate that I was at now mind you, back then it was a big deal for a female to do a 135 clean or a ring muscle up. So
Yeah.
it was a lot different then than it is now. But our affiliate went as a team to the Southeast Regional. So that was my first kind of experience at CrossFit competition, which hindsight may have not been great because I think I thought I was a lot better than what I really was. I came into CrossFit with I'm naturally just strong, and my cardio, my capacity from teaching all my classes, I had great aerobic capacity.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my foundation. No skills, none of that stuff. Could do strict pull-ups. So anyway, I did back 2018, 19, 20 was probably when I was doing the most competitions, doing Granite Games, Wadapalooza. I did the open and things then, but I did not do I don't think it was semifinals then. I think it was the age group online qualifiers.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But then I was thinking, as I moved on, I started training for the games. And that first year that I made the games, the experience was fun. It was not something because of all the businesses. I can't put all my eggs in that basket. I remember leaving the games on that Sunday and flying back and thinking, I have to teach spin class tomorrow morning at 8, like we got to go back to work, people. So
Sorry, you were
I
how old at
love
this time?
this was 2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, so I was 50. I just turned 50, I just aged up, but when I started, I was 38. So, I was still like, they didn't have age group then
Yeah.
when I started CrossFit, it was just I was in the individual division, but I love training, I love the process, I love all the things about getting ready for competition, I love nutrition dialed in, I love recovery, I love working out, obviously. I love pushing myself, getting better at skills, challenging myself to things. But most importantly, I have some athletes that I coach or they work out with me. They're young guys and one girl. And I love being able to give them that, like, I understand the anxiety of competition. I understand what goes into it, leading into it, how you're feeling. And that is such a tricky part of it because when you get to the CrossFit games, everybody is fit. I mean, everybody's fit,
Yeah.
but who has that mental capacity or that mental edge to really like dial in and know that, they're going to win the CrossFit games or they're going to do the best they can do. So I love that whole part of it. I love networking. So my coach at the games that year, I was like, I'm meeting people, like I'm here networking, and he was like, Sarah, I need you to dial in. I was like, that's not what this is about to me. Like I'm gonna go out there and do my best, I promise. but I don't wanna say I don't have the time because I feel like that's an excuse, but it's not my goal to win the CrossFit Games.
Mhm.
Do I think I could? Yes, if I dialed in 100% for that. My goal is to I love the competition setting. I love being a part of, high level athletes like yourself. And, I think all that's fun, but at the end of the day, I want to come back and share that experience with other people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good distinction, and it's good self-awareness going into that kind of environment because you can easily fall into the tornado that is hyper competition mode, and that can be really anxiety inducing if like you've got these massive goals and now maybe things aren't going the way you thought they would go and now you're wrapped up in all that. It just can become a bit of a mind you know what for 4 days, and that's not enjoyable.
No,
Not
no.
enjoyable at all.
It's not, and that's the main thing, like, I want it to be fun. I remember the year at Wadapalooza, and this was probably 2019, the Saturday, I was in 1st place. One of the early things that I picked up with CrossFit was like, don't fall in love with the leaderboard. If you leaderboard it, it's gonna be a roller coaster. And so I kind of I understand that now. Like, don't leaderboard. I was in 1st place and we were lined up that Sunday morning to go into the first workout. And one of the girls looked, and this was like my first kind of big competition or whatever. I was kind of new in the elite mix. And one of the girls looked at me and she said, "It's girls like you that we don't like." And she was just being funny, like she was like smiling off. It was kind of like facetious joke or whatever. And I was like, and she said, "You just come in here." And I said, "Listen, my flight leaves right after this workout. So I'm not even going to get to do the last workout today because I have to get back home. So don't worry about me. You go out there and do you. Like, I'm not here. I mean, I am in 1st place right now, so let's make that be known, but I'm not gonna do the last workout.
That's
And so
awesome.
anyway, it was things like that that I'm like, I never wanna be that person. I never want to, I am competitive. It's just being an athlete, as you know, like we get those competitive juices. However, I don't ever wanna be that person to where like, "Hey guys, let's just do this. Let's just do our best." The person that works the hardest and is gonna win.
Yeah, where it becomes all consuming and kind of like your
Yeah.
identity is then wrapped up in whether or not you achieve the thing. And that's I mean, gosh, it can be an amazing feeling if when you achieve the thing, like, yeah, boy, that's a high,
Yes.
but that's pretty rare. And so not achieving the thing, then the low is so low.
Yes.
Yeah, like, look, I'll be the first to say, like, I have goals, and when I don't achieve my goals, am I disappointed? Yeah, of course I am. I
Right.
also can find some really healthy perspective very quickly and get myself into a neutral state where I'm like, look, last year at the games, I was also in first place at one point, and that was like wow, this is real.
Yeah.
And I got a real shot at this. And then my expectations shifted in real time. And then to not win and to not even be on the podium and I
Oh,
think
wow.
fourth was like, oh, that was a gut punch, you know?
Yeah.
So that's,
Yet you're still 4th in the world, that's the thing, like,
yeah.
you're still 4th in the world.
Right. So like it maybe took a day for me to be like, oh yeah, so
Right.
that's still pretty awesome. I'm happy with that. And that's sincere. But I would be lying if I said there wasn't certainly some time there where I was like, son of a, that's tough because I am a competitor. But do I find my identity in that? No. Is it a big
Right.
part of who I am? Yeah, it is. And I put a lot of time into it. I invest a lot. And so I do want it to result in something that's special. But anyways, that's people can relate to that concept, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And I think like you said, as long as you can, like, pivot, we all are competitives and, we want to be our best, but at the same time, like, there's a bigger picture out there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Things get put into
And
perspective.
we're getting healthy and fit and all this stuff that we're doing anyway and living longer, so
That is always the thing I come back to is like, look, we have the ability to do this at all. And that's an incredible blessing because there are people without their health that would give anything they have to just be healthy. And I get
yes,
that. And you know, we are very blessed to be able to do this.
yes.
So exercise those blessings on a regular basis.
Friendly reminders.
That's right. Sarah, this has been a really great conversation. I'm super thankful that we got connected and Aaron nudged us to come together. I think there's some great nuggets in here, and I think your story is inspiring. I mean, look, you've from a purely a businesswoman perspective, very successful. Like you've got 7 gyms and they're all thriving, and that's just awesome. And there's certainly folks that are out there trying to make their one gym work. And I hope that they find some nuggets in your story. And then from, a competitive and fitness and faith perspective, like these are all other great strengths in your life. And I hope people find some inspiration in those areas as well.
Yes, me too, and I'm happy to help anybody that has anything or needs anything. I'm happy to help in any way.